How's everybody doing? Welcome back to another video. I know I said my next video was going to be on a productivity hack that I had that is a game changer, at least in my opinion, but I actually just got done watching a video on how to ADHD, or from Jessica, how to ADHD. And it's basically talking about how flying underneath the radar messages that we were sent as children and childhood patterns that we never seem to grow out of. And I wanted to thank her, but I also wanted to add in some points that I had when I watched her video. See, there's two chords that kind of hit me when I watched her video, because she talks about how she got a message from her family that her needs don't matter because her brother's needs were bigger than hers, or at least at the time were bigger than hers, and he needed a lot more attention and so forth. And so she grew up thinking that her needs don't matter. Well, that's the same with me, except when it comes to emotions. It's like my emotions don't matter. What I feel doesn't matter, or that I shouldn't feel that way in certain situations. And a lot of that comes from being called too sensitive when I was a kid, which I'll get into in a minute. The second chord it hit is actually the reason I started this YouTube channel. And it's something that was always in the back of my head, but she brought it to the front of my head, which I really appreciate. And the reason I started this YouTube channel is because I'm pretty much subconsciously knew that I might be sending messages to my children that aren't the messages that I want to send. So they're getting other messages, whether it be from my actions or even possibly from what I said and misinterpreting what I said, or maybe I didn't communicate it clearly enough and they got a different message. And I'm hoping that if they do come to me later on in life asking me why I did something, or how could I do something, or the fact that whatever I did them harm or hurt them in some way, emotionally, definitely, because I'm not going to physically hurt them, but emotionally, then I could kind of point them to this channel to say, you know, when I found out that I had ADHD, I was trying to learn about ADHD in general. I was trying to learn about my brain and ADHD because everybody's different. And I was also trying to learn about your brain and how your brain operates so that I could teach you. And teaching somebody something while I'm trying to learn it is pretty much impossible, or at least it feels impossible. And so I'm definitely going to make some mistakes. I'm hoping that they could see that through the videos I make. And it's one of the reasons why I talk a lot about my experiences more than hacks that I might have or anything else. You know, being a child is very confusing in and of itself, whether you have ADHD or not, because it's almost like, you know, you could be whatever you want to be in life, but then all of a sudden the child says, hey, I want to be, I'm trying to think of something crazy, but they think of something crazy that they want to do for a living. And now all of a sudden it's, no, you can't do that. That's not going to make you any money. That's not going to, you know, you're not going to be able to make a living out of that. So it's like, how can you say that I could be whatever I want, but then change it later on and say, you know, I'm not going to be able to make a living doing that. And so it's very confusing in the first place, but especially with somebody who has ADHD, I was very confused because a lot of times it was, I'm being too sensitive, but then maybe my impulsivity got the better of me and I said something insensitive. Now I'm getting yelled at for being insensitive. So it's like, which one do you want? Do you want me to be sensitive or not be sensitive? Because apparently being sensitive is a bad thing, which is another message I got. You can't be sensitive, but then I can't be insensitive either because now I'm being hurtful. I was very confused when I was always called too sensitive. And a lot of times it was because, you know, somebody hurt my feelings, and it felt like they were blaming me for feeling the way I felt because my feelings were hurt. It also made me lose my voice a little bit. I didn't want to voice that somebody hurt my feelings because I didn't know whether or not I should feel that way. It's very difficult to cope with, especially when you're trying to teach your children to regulate their emotions. I mean, a lot of times I definitely think about how I grew up and the messages that I received, kind of like Jessica, where a lot of times if they do something out of anger or they, you know, I have to discipline them somehow, some way, the first thing I try to do is tell them, you have every right to feel that way. You have every right to be angry, to be irritated, to be sad, to be happy, to be excited, to be surprised. You have every right to feel that way. It's the action that I have to teach you about. And I also try to teach them, now let's think of ways to manage that sadness or that anger or that excitement or that happiness, whatever the feeling is. We have to learn how to manage it because I don't think I was taught how to manage my emotions. Mainly, the way I was taught was stop being so sensitive. There are a lot of times that I try to use my life as an example to my kids because I try to tell them, you have a voice, you need to voice that opinion, that feeling, whatever you have. As long as you're not being mean or derogatory towards the person you're voicing it to, you need to voice it. Because if I don't voice that, you're not going to know that you hurt my feelings, which means you're going to do it again and again and again. And next thing you know, our relationship is not going to be a relationship because it's going to force me out of it because I'm not voicing how I feel and you don't know that that's how I feel, which means you're going to keep on doing it. And so that voice needs to be heard, but it also needs to be respected. When I did voice my feelings and how I felt and the fact that somebody hurt my feelings, I felt that I was being blamed, especially when they said, well, that wasn't my intention. Never understood that phrase and I never liked that phrase. And it wasn't until a couple years ago where I realized why I didn't like it. See, just because somebody didn't intend to do something does not mean they didn't cause harm. If I drive to work today and I get into a car accident and somebody's leg got broken because of that car accident, I didn't intend to hit that car and I didn't intend to break that person's leg. But ultimately, I caused harm. I did break his leg or her leg or whoever's leg it is. I did cause harm. And so a lot of times when I'm voicing my opinions and my feelings to somebody, it's not that I'm looking for them to change whatever they did. It's more of just an acknowledgement saying, hey, I'm sorry I hurt your feelings. I didn't intend to, but apparently I did cause harm and that is my fault. I apologize and I will try not to do it again. An acknowledgement goes a long way. Sometimes as adults, I think that we forget where we come from. It's almost like a child who goes out to the playground for the first time and falls down and skins their knee. See, a lot of times I think adults downplay that. And I think the reason for that is we've skinned our knee so many times that it's not a big deal anymore. But to that child who it's his first time going out playing on the playground, skins his knee, that's the most pain that child has ever felt. So on a scale of 1 to 10, it's probably a 12. And as an adult, we not only skinned our knees, but we've possibly broken bones, we've sprained ankles, we've gotten into car accidents, we've run into walls, we've spilt hot coffee on us. We've had so much other pain that, yes, compared to the other pains that we've had, that skinned knee doesn't matter. But that child doesn't have any of those life experiences. That skinned knee is the biggest pain that they've ever felt. And we need to keep that in mind. I definitely wanted to say thank you to Jessica just because it is a discussion I don't think is talked about enough. We're talking about systems and hacks and maybe experiences that we've gone through, but we're never really talking about the childhood patterns because not only am I dealing with trying to cope with ADHD symptoms and trying to be more productive and be a better father, be a better husband, a better son, a better employee, I'm also dealing with those childhood patterns that I have to get out of and trying to teach my kids not to get into those patterns, which is very difficult at the same time. I do want to leave you guys with this, that if you guys are in my situation where you feel that your feelings aren't valid, your feelings are valid. You have every right to feel however you feel about any situation, and you have the right to voice that opinion or feeling to whoever is causing that harm, or not even harm. It could just be expressing love. Whatever it is, you have every right to feel that way. If they don't matter to anybody else, this definitely comes from the heart. It matters to me. Don't forget it. All right. I hope you guys liked the video, and I will see you next week with my ADHD hack. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time.